every 69 seconds, somebody is diagnosed with this disease. 2/3 of the people that are diagnosed are women. And 80% of Alzheimer's goes undiagnosed until mid-disease. And by the time a person hits 85, statistically 1 in 2 will be afflicted with this disease. Well, you know, a lot of people will confuse what dementia, forgetfulness, and Alzheimer's actually is. Dementia is the overarching, if you will, illness, and Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. And what we see is it takes a lot of ranges from early to mid to late stages, and people they could begin to forget things. They'll lose sight of maybe what year it is, what day it is, to the point where at advanced stages they can forget how to eat, how to swallow, how to breathe. And that's when it gets to the very end stage, and this disease, Alzheimer's, is one that's irreversible. You can't go back and undo it. And so when somebody is diagnosed, the responsibility that we have is to help them maintain themselves and their independence for as long as possible, helping them to maintain whatever reality that he or she is in at that time. We're very proud of something that occurred here, and I have to thank Roberta Gifford, who works here and who is just probably one of the people that's most passionate and compassionate about our residents as well as their needs. And when we identified our plans and what we wanted to do, Roberta has worked with the chime choir here. And this chime choir has performed at countless events and concerts, and her quest was, how can we help people that today live here that have some cognitive disabilities? How can we help them and get them engaged? And what she did is she did some research. She worked with one of our current residents' daughter, and they developed a program whereby she was able to teach people, residents here, to play the chimes using not notes or music, but color. And the benefit of that has been astronomical. You know, from a very personal perspective, I'll share with you a story that, first of all, we know that people with dementia and Alzheimer's can still learn. Research shows that. That was one of the core things that Roberta took and ran with. She said, if we have people that can still learn, then let's teach them something. Let's teach them something that people respond to. People respond to music. And residents with dementia and Alzheimer's can go back in their memory and recall music and songs and lyrics. And so when we saw that happening, she moved forward with what is now called the Rainbow Chimers. Well, one day they were going to perform for a resident meeting, and one of our board of trustees happened to be in the building, and I invited him to stay for the meeting and hear the Rainbow Chimers. So we were sitting there, and as they performed, one of the residents, a woman, was playing the chimes and doing quite well. And her husband happened to be sitting in the front row, who lives independently. And he sat there And I leaned over to the board member and I said to him, please look at that gentleman right over there. I said, he is watching his wife who is sitting, and I pointed right over here. He had so much love in his eye. He was sitting there and you could see that he was crying because his wife, for the first time in a long time, was participating in something meaningful and something that she loved music, and really, it was a part of her life. And Roberta and this Rainbow Chime Choir was able to give her that back. And at the end of the meeting, that my board member said to me, you know, I'd like to say a few words to your residents. And he got up and he addressed our residents. And I laughed because we've been together now, he and I, board chair or board representative and president, for a number of years. And all the years he's never pointed a finger at me. He pointed at me that day and he said, Jay, this we have to make happen. We are what's considered a full continuum of care. We have freestanding homes that people can live independently. We have apartments that people can live independently. We also have apartments for assisted living, and we have apartments for skilled nursing. What we're seeing is that our residents, as they age, some of them will be diagnosed and will start with early dementia. And as they move and progress into a later stage, we don't have the facilities, the secure facilities here on site to care for them. And the concern that we have is this organization has a mission. And that mission is that we will never ask a person to leave for an inability to pay their bill. If they were to run out of money, we will subsidize them financially to live here. Unfortunately, because we don't have the facilities for somebody with that disease, we have had to ask 25 people in the last 30 months to move someplace else. Not because we wanted to, and not because they ran out of money, but because they contracted a disease that right now our physical plant isn't equipped to handle. And that's a concern, and that's a gap that we need to fill. We are getting ready and have put some plans together to build a brand new 24-unit memory care center here at Western Reserve. We know that in our Tri-County area alone, we have over 24,000 people that have been diagnosed with this disease. And we are looking at a way, and a leading edge type of way, to care for residents with this disease. We spoke before we started taping, and I pointed out my button, which I'll make sure you get one. It's called Connecting Realities. And people with this disease, they time travel, and they find themselves someplace else. One of the things that's going to make us different from the others, there are a couple things. At its core value, our responsibility is to connect ourselves with that person's reality, wherever they time travel, not forcing them to try to find where we're at today. Second of all, we know that people have natural biorhythms. Some people are morning people, some people are afternoon people, some people are night owls. I happen to be a night owl. Now, if you have a person that functions very well in the day, and you try to give them and put them in an activity at night, they're not going to function well, and vice versa. And what you'll have is people not benefiting, not being able to participate, and you would find what you might find traditionally, and that's people sitting slumped asleep in a chair. We have a program called Rhythm of the Day that we will be utilizing, which really capitalizes on a person's biorhythms. So if a person naturally is really vibrant in the early hours, we're going to focus their activities earlier in the day. The same with people in the afternoon, same with the people in the evening. And what we've found by doing that, a lot of results that you can quantify. Results like people's sleep patterns improve. Use of psychotropic drugs reduce. the level of agitation is also reduced. So there's a lot of benefits to that type of programming. And we designed and are working with that programming and use that as one of the cores to this new building, which in fact we didn't begin designing the building until we had the programming complete. And the building that we're building is going to complement that programming so that it all functions together, and we don't try to take an existing building and say all of a sudden this side of the building is going to be a unit for special care people with dementia or Alzheimer's, because they won't benefit from that. The construction of our current building doesn't benefit a resident who has the need to walk, to meet with little resistance, that have the ability to get outside and not be obstructed by that. All those components exist in the building. So we think with our programming, our philosophy, and the building, we're going to be able to offer people with this disease a way to age respectfully and to help them maintain a level of functionality far beyond what people today traditionally expect. We know from the standpoint of our mission that when you look at the elderly population, we want to make sure we're giving back. And there's so much history that sits in this building. The people, the lives that they've lived, the experiences that they share with us. There are things that you and I might read in a history book. There are things that I just talked to my daughter about recently when they talked about all the wars throughout the years she was studying. And we had a gentleman who landed in Normandy on Omaha Beach, and it was referred to as Operation Overlord. And you know, on that day, not many people survived, and he did. And I introduced my daughter to him, both my daughters. Well, I don't think they realized they were meeting at the time a true American hero. And I said, ladies, now they were very young at the time, I said, ladies, I want to introduce you to a true American hero. And they did what any young girl would do. Hi, my name's Meredith, nice to meet you. Hi, my name's Madeline, nice to meet you. And it didn't really register. And again, like I said, fast forward to last spring, my daughter is a high school student studying these. In her book was a picture, and it's a very well-known picture. And I said, do you realize you have a real connection to this photograph? She said, how is that? I said, do you remember years ago when I introduced you to this gentleman? She said, yes. I said, somewhere in this photograph, he was really there. He survived this landing. And he wrote to his father that night. And he wrote in his diary, he said, Dad, the only people that sleep tonight are the dead. The only thing dry is the top of my head. One day this place will be famous. Now, you have a true American hero. He and his wife live here. And he's one of the people over the years I had to say to his wife, he had to move. I had to tell she and their daughter. That was one of the toughest days of my professional career. How do you say to a true American hero who survives that day only to be taken by that disease and we're not able to care for him? That's not right. And so when we look at what we want to do, we want to be there because it is the right thing to do. That's who we are. And one of our goals is to become a trusted resource for respectful aging. And in that statement doesn't have the caveat, unless you have a disease we can't handle. Our goal is to take care of people.